All right, lesson 4. If you look on Google Classroom, it'll show you how to assemble your notes. And I'm going to start this lesson by using 3 highlighters to kind of emphasize the diagram. First, the picture that we have right here is of a right triangle. And we're going to draw an altitude to that right triangle to the hypotenuse. And that's, whoops, highlighter's a little large. So here's my right triangle. That I'm starting with, right triangle EFG. And then if I were to draw an altitude, which is the height, to the hypotenuse, that means I'm drawing in this segment right here. And when I draw in that orange altitude, I now have taken my 1 right triangle and created 3 right triangles. And the 3 right triangles that I have created are all similar by angle-angle similarity. So I'm going to redraw them. I'm going to kind of separate them. I have my green right triangle, and it has a longer leg and a short leg. And I'm just using my powers of observation to see that. The right angle is at G. The shorter leg is GF. The longer leg goes from G to E. And just double checking, the hypotenuse is EF. We're good. That's my large triangle. Then I have the red triangle, which is medium sized. The right angle of the red triangle is at H. The shorter leg of the right triangle goes from H to G. And the longer leg of the right triangle goes from H to E. Double checking, its hypotenuse is EG, and we're good. That matches my picture. And then the orange one, that one actually is a little easier for me to draw because it's facing the right way. Its right angle is at H. Its shorter leg goes from H to F. And its hypotenuse goes from H to G. Now the reason I know that these triangles are all similar is because the green triangle has angle E. And the red triangle by the reflexive has this same angle. And so green is similar to red using angle-angle. And then if we look at the green triangle, it has angle F that it shares as the reflexive property with the orange triangle, which means green is similar to F by angle-angle similarity, which makes all 3 of these triangles similar. Triangle EGF is similar to triangle EHG is similar to triangle HF. All by AA similarity. And since the triangles are similar, we know that their corresponding sides are proportional. So corresponding sides of similar triangles are proportional. And that is the fact that we're going to use to solve all of these questions. So this is a key piece of this question. So we already know this. When triangles are similar, their corresponding sides are proportional. We've done that already. Okay, so looking inside of the foldable at example 1 on the top, so I'm looking at the top of the paper. It's just practice setting up some proportions using letters. And I like to use the colors. I find it to be pretty helpful. So we have 3 triangles here. 1, 2, 3. And because I have a right triangle with the altitude drawn to the hypotenuse, I know that I now have 3 similar triangles. So the ratio that they give me compares AB to BD. And those sides are both sides in the yellow triangle. And then side CD is the side of the green triangle. And now we're going to take a look at what sides are they. Well, in the yellow triangle, side AB, in the yellow triangle, it's the hypotenuse. And for the yellow triangle, and I'm just using my eyes to figure this out, side BD is the short leg. And now we hop over to the green triangle. Is segment CD the short leg of the green? Yes. So our missing piece here is the hypotenuse of the green triangle. And the hypotenuse of the green triangle is BC. So there are other ways to figure out what goes there, but this is just one way that the highlighters could help you to fill in the missing pieces. So if we look at example 2, the first task is to figure out what triangles are they looking at. And you know I love my highlighters. I typically like to use 3 colors because I have 3 triangles. And now JL, it's in the green or the orange. I'm not sure what I want yet. But LK, it's in the orange. So that kind of tells me this is the orange triangle. KJ is in the, well, it's in the orange, we already used that one, so it's the yellow. Now we have to figure out what pieces do we have. Well, JL in the orange triangle is its short leg, and I hope mine isn't skewed. LK in that same triangle is the long leg. Now let's make sure it matches up for the orange triangle, yellow triangle. In the yellow triangle, KJ, short leg. Great. So I know my missing piece right here is the long leg of the yellow triangle. And the long leg of the yellow triangle is JI. All right, we're going to skip example 3 and go on to example 4. And examples 4 and 5, that's actually more the kind that you're going to be asked to do on homework. And I kind of find it a little easier to solve than these ones where you're trying to just fill in a missing side. So for number 4, we're asked to find x. So we have to figure out, first issue, which 2 triangles do we want to focus on out of the 3. And so that's where my highlighter comes in. So here's x. And it's a side of the smallest triangle, which clues me in that I want to be working with the green triangle. Now I have to decide which other triangle do I want. Do I want the medium triangle here? Do I have 2 sides of that triangle right now? I don't. So I don't want that medium triangle. The triangle I want is the yellow triangle. Because for that triangle, I do have 2 sides. So I like to set it up in a box, just because, you know, I like things to be all nice and pretty. So in my box, I'm dealing with 2 triangles, a green one and a yellow one. And you do not need to do this, it's just a strategy to help stay organized. So those are my triangles. And now I have to figure out what pieces of those triangles am I working with. So in the green triangle, I have the short leg, and they also have the hypotenuse. So those are the 2 pieces I've got to fill in. So now I use the colors. The short leg of the green triangle is x. The hypotenuse of the green triangle is 12. Now I go over to the yellow triangle. For the yellow triangle, the short leg is 12, and the hypotenuse is 36. Inside this table right now, there's my proportion to set up. So I can go right from my table to cross multiplying, and I get 36x equals 144. And then we just solve that for x. X is 4. And there we go. Example 5. Example 5 is going to be similar. First, we have to identify the triangles we're looking at. I like to start by highlighting X. It's right there, which clues me in. Maybe I want this yellow one. Do I have two sides of the yellow one? Yes. Now I have to find the second triangle I'm working with. And I'm going to use the largest. The reason I'm using the largest is because I don't have two sides for that middle triangle. And then, because I like my tables, I'm going to set it up. I know that I'm working with the yellow and the orange. And now I have to identify the parts that I have. In the yellow triangle, I have the short leg and I have the hypotenuse. So let's fill it in. The short leg of the yellow triangle is X. The hypotenuse of the yellow triangle is 6. Moving to the orange triangle. The shorter leg is 6. The hypotenuse is 12. Now we cross multiply and solve. So when I cross multiply this, we get 12x equals 36. So x is 3. And I'm going to leave off example 6 as extra practice. Okay, the next two things, you don't really need to worry so much about the words, but we're just going to use triangles again to keep going with the same thing. It does say in a right triangle, the altitude from the right angle divides the hypotenuse into two segments. The length of the altitude is the geometric mean of the lengths of the two segments. Blah, 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 words. So what they're really telling you is, I draw my altitude and I have this picture. And in this picture I have a yellow triangle and an orange triangle. And what they're comparing here is a long leg and a short leg. So the long leg of the yellow is AD. The short leg of the yellow is BD. The long leg of the orange happens to also be BD. And the short leg of the orange is CD. And they're just kind of telling you that rule always works. But if you're using proportions, you don't really need to memorize it. So for example 7, we're going to use that concept. I'm looking for X, so I'm going to highlight the triangle or triangles X is part of, and in this case X is in two triangles. It's in the yellow and it's in the orange. And now if you're not a highlighter person, I use highlighters to highlight the boxes that I'm looking at, but you could do something like, well, I'm using the medium triangle and the small triangle and label the triangles you're working with. But looking at the yellow triangle, I have two pieces. I have a long leg and I have a short leg. And now it doesn't matter which one of these you put in which box. You could reverse these as long as you're substituting them in appropriately. The long leg of the yellow triangle is 9. The short leg of the yellow triangle is X. Now we're going to go to the orange triangle. The long leg of the orange triangle is X. The short leg of the orange triangle is 6. And once we're here, we cross multiply and we solve. Now for this one, when we solve it, we are going to have to deal with radical 54 or negative radical 54, which we don't want. 54 does simplify. 9 and 6. So we get X equals 3 radical 6. For my missing piece. Example 8 is a similar question. I'm going to skip that one. The notes are posted online. Feel free to check it out and try that one on your own. Moving over to the bottom right, we have another rule here that talks about the leg theorem, and this one deals with all three triangles really. And the first pattern that they want you to be aware of is when I'm working with the yellow and the orange triangles, I could compare the hypotenuse and the short leg. So the short leg of the yellow triangle is CD. Its hypotenuse is BC. The short leg of the orange triangle, also BC. And its hypotenuse is AC. And for some people, the reason that they're pointing this out is some of you might be comfortable looking at the pattern like CD over BC is BC over AC. If that makes sense to you, great, go for it. If not, draw your triangles, highlight, set up a table, and then there's nothing to memorize. And I personally prefer the no memorize route. The other thing they're doing is comparing the green, so the medium-sized triangle, to the large triangle. And this time they're going to compare the long leg and the hypotenuse. So the long leg of the green triangle is AB. Its hypotenuse is AB. Now we move to the orange triangle. Its long leg is AB. And its hypotenuse is AC. And the reason that these things are kind of cool, and the stuff that they really kind of want you to see, is that in all of these cases, we have a segment that repeats. And so that's really what they were pointing out to you. I guess not so much up here, the way they did it, but down here, that's what they're pointing out. And so some of you are going to get the patterns, some of you are going to need tables. Can't say it enough times. So looking at number 9, we know that this is an altitude to hypotenuse question, which means I need tables. Now I need to figure out which triangles do I want. Well, X is here. That tells me right off the bat I want to be dealing with the small triangle, because X is in it, but also the large triangle, because X is in that one too. X is not in the medium triangle. So now we have to figure out, well, what pieces do we have? In the yellow triangle, which is my small triangle, and then I have my large triangle for this one. So if you're a labeler, we're looking at small and large. So it doesn't matter the order. In the yellow, I have the short leg and the hypotenuse. And now substitute short leg of yellow is 9, hypotenuse is X. Short leg of orange, X. Hypotenuse, make sure you're careful here, is 20. And now we cross multiply, which you solve by taking the square root, rejecting that negative, and then simplifying that radical. So we have 6, radical 5 for our missing side. Number 10 is going to be similar. It's posted online. Try that one on your own. We will have more practice time we'll have more practice time built in on Monday and Tuesday for these lessons, but use your notes, use the keys online, and do the best that you can with them.